Being recorded.
Thank you. All right. Well, welcome to the March 11th, 2024 meeting of the Tooele Valley Rural Planning Organization, beginning about 1:35, and appreciate everybody being here. Let's see. So maybe we can start with introductions, and first in person, and then we'll go online. Mayor?
Debbie Wynn, Tooele City Mayor.
Kendall Thomas, Tooele County Council.
Great.
Jeff Petty, Region 2 Planning Manager. Neil Critchlow, Granville City Mayor.
Terry?
Terry Minor, Curtis City. James Walt, Granville City Public Works Director.
Terrific. Thank you. And Rochelle?
Rochelle Custer, Tooele County.
Andy Welch, Tooele County.
And Wayne Benyon, Wasatch Front Regional Council. And we'll go online, just in the order. Jay?
Jay Aguilar, Long Range Planning at UDOT.
Becky?
Hi, I'm Becky Stromness, a project manager at UDOT Region 2.
And Nate?
I'm Nate Curry with Communications Manager for Wasatch Front Regional Council.
And Olivia?
Olivia Vaughn, UTA Strategic Planning.
Katie?
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Corianos with Horrocks. I'm here supporting Becky and the UDOT SR 36 improvement projects.
And Jared?
Hey everyone, Jared Stewart, Tooele City Economic Development.
And Rosie?
Rosie Hernandez, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
And Jesse?
And Jesse Wilson, Granville City Manager.
And Paul?
Paul Hansen, Tooele City Engineer.
And Shiloh?
Shiloh Baker with Tooele City Mayor's Office.
Right, thank you. Appreciate that. And we'll turn to the first item on the agenda, the December 11th, 2023 meeting minutes. Any comments or corrections on those? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Councilman Thomas, thank you. And Mayor Nguyen with the second, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those stand approved. Thank you. And we'll turn some time to Becky Stromness with UDOT Region 2.
Hi, thank you. Is it possible for you to share a screen? If not, I'll just talk. I don't know if that's possible or not. Anyways, I just want to update you on the SR 36 projects. Not knowing who's new in this group, who's been before. I apologize if this is a repeat. I'm first going to talk about the southbound project. And the southbound project we're basically adding a third lane in the southbound direction. And we're doing that from Sunset. And then it goes down to Stansbury Parkway. So I'll just bring up this Google Earth. Should hopefully give you a little bit of bearings if you're not familiar. So as I mentioned, we're starting on the south end here. I'll zoom in. Currently today you get through this intersection and there's 3 lanes and then it drops down. And I know it's really confusing because we got old paint lines and the new paint lines. So just look at the yellow as the new inside stripe. And then you can see the smaller white or the engineering lines in there will be where the striping lays out. So rather than doing this lane drop, we'll keep the third lane coming. As we get a little bit further south, you can see on this outside shoulder, this darker black, that's representing the new pavement we're going to be putting down. So that's pretty consistent. As we have some of these little access points along the way, this is representing drainage with a little pipe to get across there as we deal with the water from the runoff. Some of these other things like this pink line is just representing some fiber, telecom communications. But you can continue to see this widened section in the darker black, hopefully on the outside edge there. So hopefully this has just given you a little sense for what this project's going to entail. And I'm probably making you sick by going too fast, but I'll zoom out because it's pretty straightforward and consistent. As we approach some of these intersections, we do have some adjustments with the turn lanes, making sure we have adequate storage. So anyone waiting to make left turns has a safe way or safe space to be in. So they're not hanging out into traffic. We just continue on down, clear to the south. And there's the storage units. I wish it was more exciting than this, but I guess we need to look at the take home of what it's going to be. Here's a picture of this intersection. Again, just getting that extra width we needed there for the right turn lane. You can kind of see how it's a full lane width because here's the old one. You can see that old arrow. So we're just one more lane width over about 12 feet to get that right turn lane accommodated. Part of this is going to need to have some adjustments made to the traffic signals. That's what that's showing here is just, we got to make sure the heads are aligned over the proper lanes and things like that. So it all functions as we intend. Anyways, and then right here is the conclusion of the project. We are planning to take the third lane through the intersection. And then just shortly thereafter, it starts to do the lane drop and then merge down to the 2 lanes. So then by down here, we're down to the 2 lanes. So hopefully that gives everyone a sense for what this project's going to entail. I want to mention as we were getting into the design, it became apparent we weren't going to have adequate funding for the project. This project was initially funded at $7 million. We needed essentially around 14 million. So last month in the February Utah Transportation Commission meeting, the project was given that additional $7 million. So the project is funded for a total of $14 million. Schedule-wise for this, we have our final plan review coming up in 2 weeks, the last week of this month. That will lead us to advertising during the month of April. And then we should have the bid opening and contract award in the month of May so that they can get started a month or so after that, around the approximate June timeframe. I won't have those dates obviously until the contractor is chosen and we kind of see what their schedule is. So we're looking to get hopefully the bulk of this project constructed this summer into the fall. I do anticipate we possibly might have a little bit of work that carries into the spring, but we'll just have to see what the contractor's able to do schedule-wise for that. So that's the southbound project. The northbound project, that's the second project and actually the bigger project that we have going in this area. And it starts where this project ends on the south. So right here, as you can see, and then we're doing basically the exact same thing, but in the northbound direction. So clear up, very, very similar all through this section. As we get close to Lake Point, we get more into these businesses. Right away is of serious concern with us. The initial very preliminary lines I've seen are looking favorable with minimal impacts to the businesses through here with right away. So I think that's great news. Once we get up here closer to the interstate, we're continuing that third lane. Right now, these 2 lanes on the on-ramp merge down, merge down, merge down until they're forced to merge into one of the 2 travel lanes here on I-80. What will happen here rather than the forced merge, it's what we call an auxiliary lane. And so this will just continue on. So imagine this doesn't merge, but it stays full width here. And this auxiliary lane will just continue all the way up to the 201. Kind of where the old rest area is where that current exit to 201 starts to develop. right in here. And rather than developing the exit, that lane will already be here. So we'll kind of cut through this shoulder undeveloped area here, and the rest areas where that lane will play out. So anyways, that's a bigger project. That one's currently funded at $27.5 million. We had the kickoff meeting beginning of this year. We will be having the scoping meeting at the end of this month, and the design will progress through the summer and into the fall with spring advertising for construction in 2025. So thank you. Any questions, I guess I should ask?
Question from James. Do you mind coming up to the mic here? This is James Waltz, Public Works Director with Grantsville.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I'm just curious as to if we'll receive construction updates so that we can update our public and our commuters. I know that you guys have a bridge deck and off ramp project that's going to be happening off 201 and 36. And we're going to be pumping that information to our commuters, as a lot of the Grantsville commuters work outside of our valley here. So I just want to make sure that we receive those construction updates. It looks like that project's going to start in June. And so with SR 36, that can be really impactful to a lot of our residents here in the valley. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Katie, who's on the meeting today, she's leading the public outreach on this. And I anticipate we'll have weekly email that people can get on those distribution lists, as well as I anticipate we'll be trying to do updates with some of the cities and other groups that would like us to come give updates with the construction. I guess the positive thing in this southbound project for sure is we anticipate being able to keep the 2 lanes that are there today and just have them kind of working off to the edge of the road, off to the shoulder. So hopefully those impacts are going to be kept to a minimum. But yeah, we definitely plan to be doing outreach and coordinating with the other projects in the area.
James, I just took your information down and we'll follow up for kind of a sit down when we've got more construction info impacts. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the other project as well, so that we can make sure we're communicating throughout. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you both. Any other questions or comments for Becky? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thanks again, Becky, Katie. All right. Well, I appreciate very much everyone's participation over the past couple of years in getting this draft transportation plan for Tooele Valley to where it is today. And what I'd like to have us do today is review the draft plan, have any discussion, and then ask the elected officials to take action on releasing the plan for public comment. You'll probably recall there are 3 pieces to the plan: highway phasing, and then active transportation phasing. Even though the map is labeled bicycle route types and phasing, some of the routes are obviously multi-use paths and not limited to bicycles. And then, of course, the transit element, which has gone through a few iterations, and the latest version of that was shared at the December RPO meeting. So assuming the elected officials are comfortable going forward with public comment, we would anticipate that public comment during April, May timeframe, a 30-day comment period, and then would bring the plan back at the June RPO meeting on June 10th and have any discussion or consideration of public comments, and then ask for a final approval. And you'll recall also that we get the opportunity to update this plan about every 4 years. And so not set in stone, but hopefully it's a useful tool for helping the local governments coordinate with each other and with the state and with UTA and other entities in order to move transportation projects forward. So with that, let's see. Let me hand out hard copies here to those in person. And then if Rochelle, I don't know if you can give Rosie permission to share her screen, but Rosie can share this online as well. And then
Wayne, can you clarify which document that is?
yeah, it's the highway, might be HYWY. Is that one of the three that I sent over?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sharing that, thank you. On the screen, Rosie, that would be wonderful. You'll also recall from previous discussions that this plan is a needs-based plan. No funding has been identified for or committed to any of these projects. But we have, the plan can be useful in identifying needs and getting a sense of priorities within the valley for all three of these modes. So you've seen this needs-based highway phasing map previously, I believe at the September meeting and previous iterations before then. Let me just point out the 3 or 4 changes since the September version, since the version that was shared at the September RPO meeting, and then I'll open it up for discussion. Now that the environmental assessment has been completed on Mid-Valley, the plan doesn't determine alignments, but it's probably appropriate to reflect the alignment identified in the environmental assessment. So that has been done. And then the segment 2, the middle section of Mid-Valley, has been switched from phase 2 to phase 3. And the southern segment of Mid-Valley Highway has been switched from phase 3 to phase 2. And again, this is to give relative priority. And if there's a desire to, as you look at this and we go through it, if there's a desire to make changes, that's great. And we can make adjustments, and even to the point of adding narrative to help explain intent, if that's helpful. And then over on the right side of the map, you'll see what are now, you'll see that the Okra Expressway has been moved from phase 2 to phase 3. And then you'll also see that the extension of Drew Bay from Bates Canyon up to Pole Canyon, that has been moved from phase 3 to phase 1. So those are the 3 or 4 changes that have been made over the past little while, and I would welcome any discussion.
Just quickly on one item, the Mormon Trail, which is on the far left, the red dotted line. We found out last Thursday that we received $5 million from the federal government for that project. It goes all the way to Rush Valley. And so that'll be something that we'll be working on sooner in phase one than we anticipated because of the funding we received from the congressional project funding.
That's good news. Thank you.
It is.
Uh, Yeah, and you'll recall, I should have briefly reviewed the line types here. You'll recall that the solid lines indicate a widening project. The larger dashed lines indicate an operational improvement, whether it's reconstruction and very minor widening and safety improvements, or other types of operational improvements. And then the dashed lines that are closer together reflect new construction. Any other comments or questions, Councilman?
Question about Mid-Valley Highway.
You bet.
You can address that now. Now's the appropriate time to talk about it.
Now is the time.
Just a little bit of update about Mid-Valley Highway. In February, the Transportation Commission, Utah State Transportation Commission, come out to Tooele. And on the day before, we did a ride around where we picked up in Lake Point, went down to the salt plant and come back up to what's the highway from Tooele to Grassville? 112, what did I bring? So we had a great tour. Just about the majority of the commission was there. And there was a sense of Kevin Van Tassel from you ended out in the basin said, hey, well, this is important. And so thanks to Mayor Wynn, she was there at the meeting. She did a wonderful job. Those who presented I think we got some good traction going with the Mid-Valley Highway in the next phase. And then also after that, let's see, on March 22nd, I believe there's the commission, I got it in my other notebook, but there's a commission meeting in Salt Lake, 28th, 29th, or 22nd, 21st. One of those days, I'm gonna go into it. Anybody else that wants to go in, I don't know if we're on the agenda. I don't know the status of that yet, but I think we ought to have that on our radar. Also, Mayor Wynn has been really good about the third phase, the tail end, the south end of getting that done. And Mayor, I don't know if you'd like to talk to that, if you would, but hats off to them because she's working with the depot. And so Debbie, I think it'd be wonderful if you give us all an update on that, so.
Yes, following the commission meeting, and we were really thrilled to hear that Kevin Van Tassel thought that this is going to be now his #1 priority to get this road through. Our first project that we have to get done is the easement through the federal government, the Army Depot property. So the LOI has been completed and UDOT did submit that to the Army. So that is already in the process. And then Tooele City and others, including Mr. Van Tassel and others, attended a Zoom meeting last week where we discussed what needed to be done next. The Army needs a document called a report of availability. It's kind of lengthy, but all it is fill in the blank or check mark the questions that they have about this. And they said, that's our next priority, get that done and turned in. So Tooele City completed all of that we knew the answers to. The rest has been sent to our team at UDOT. I do not know, I didn't know if one was on the Zoom meeting today. I'm not sure who in there is taking care of that, but we want to push and make sure whoever's in charge of that gets that filled out and returned to the Army Depot as soon as possible. And then we have another meeting planned in about 4 weeks to follow up. And they have told us that this is going to be a lot quicker process than we ever imagined that it could be. So we're very grateful that the Army is working with us and we're going to push. And Tooele City is already looking at ways to fund the end of that project, get that road through. So we're excited. Thank you.
So just the last comment is, and I know we're all aware of this, everything's about timing, next step, next step, next step. And so Mayor and the other people that have been involved in this, UDOT's been wonderful. The commission itself has. We want to make sure we stay on time and we don't miss any steps. So I think, and I know we're not on the funding list, but I think we're all doing the right thing. So thanks to everybody that's doing it. And I'm pretty positive we're going to get this done quicker and surprise people. So hopefully I'm optimistic. So thanks.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. James.
I'll be fast and thank you, Wayne. Just wanted to touch on the three roads that show here for Grantsville City. First, I'd like to know if there's any background we can get on the proposed project phasing for Sheep Lane. As we look at our budgets and our surface treatments, we know there's a heavy volume of trucks that travel that road, as well as West Street and Burmester. And just trying to get kind of an idea of what those projects look like. So as we make our decisions as well on a local level, we're in line with the future. So thank you.
Thank you, James. So, yeah, I think it would be appropriate for Grantsville to, if you want to get together and do some additional discussion to identify next steps for Sheep Lane. And because to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any funding that's been identified for that yet, but I'm happy to participate in some discussion of potential funding sources. And then Burmester does, I don't know if Jeff or Rochelle has information on the timing of the funding that's associated with Burmester.
We are at 60% plan right now. So we are anticipating that that will go out to bid. We were hoping sometime in April, but it's looking like it may be May. And then we would like construction to start this. So
And that goes, what are the limits on that?
it's industrial to Vegas, I believe, somewhere in that area. It's
Okay.
just over a mile.
Thank you. And talk to me about West Street. Is that on here or is that?
Yeah, it's for the Mormon Trail. Everyone on Main Street.
Great, thank you. Other comments on the proposed draft highway phasing? All right, great, thank you. Let's give you some more paper to look at. All right, so Rosie, if you wouldn't mind sharing the one with, I can't remember if it's got AT or bike, but whichever file, the other phasing map.
Got it. I'll also be sharing it in the chat.
Terrific, thank you. All right, so To my knowledge, no substantive changes have been made to this map since it was shared with the RPO back in September. And you can see, again, the same phases going out to 2050 now. And whereas the current plan only goes to 2040. And you can see solid lines indicate proposed multi-use paths, and then the dashed lines indicate on-street routes. And again, I'll open it up for comments or questions. And I'll just note the going back to the highway phasing, the needs analysis that was conducted as part of the Northeast area corridor study that UDOT led a couple of years ago helped identify or put some data behind the highway needs. And then additionally, local plans that existed at the time helped shape the highway, and also recently adopted active transportation plans are hopefully reflected in this, but if they are not yet reflected in the active transportation plans, then happy to make adjustments here. Councilman.
Just looking at Drew Bay Road, where it comes out of Tooele, I see the red dots on there, going all the way towards Lake Point. Why wouldn't we include that now?
So the money that we're trying to get from Congress, the 3 phases for Drew Bay, includes a trail all along that. So that will probably move from the second phase to the first phase if we're funded. It will be adding a trail all the way.
So it sounds like it would be appropriate to
that
move that from
yes,
phase 2
if
to
we're,
phase.
if we're funded, but yeah, we're going for funding in the first phase.
Right. And
Yes.
so might as well show it as
Correct.
a need.
I would put it as red, move it to phase 1.
And
So we'll add the red line on Drew Bay.
Mhm.
going clear up to Canyon or only to Pole?
Right now, it's not set up to go all the way to Canyon, it's set to go to Pole.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so we'll adjust that to phase 1
Mhm.
from 2000 north up to Pole Canyon Road, and then leave the piece from Pole Canyon Road up to Canyon Road as phase 2 for now. Okay. Kim?
Kim with North Tooele Fire. I was wondering, by Stansberry, there was a proposal with the active transportation plan that was adopted into the general plan years ago to have an underpass under State Road 36. With some of the additional widening of 36, I thought if there was a proposal for an underpass, that those things needed to be addressed. If there was a proposal and a plan.
With the funding that we have, trying to get another undercrossing there. It's not in the budget right now. It's something we'll have to look at in the future.
Okay.
So we'll keep it on the table.
Okay.
Great. Let's see here. So, yeah, the fact that that goes across SR 36 at Mills Junction, no, is that not the right place?
I would say another house with the pathway on the other side, on the east side of 36. That eventually connects up to Drew Bay and connects up to possibly be a better alternative.
So the underpass, well, okay, maybe, hopefully the idea, the connection, or the fact that we're desiring to connect is indicated here, and then location yet to be determined.
They're just, the elevation is just a appropriate there and use
Uh-huh.
there already, you know. determined.
Okay. All right.
There's one other that may change the phase. If you look at the yellow line on the furthest south, that's South Mountain with Rocky Mountain Power is going to be installing a transmission line, and as part of that project, they're on our right of way, and so we're requiring them to put in a trail there. And so that may be in phase one. That last one may get moved up. They may start to on that Great Salt Lake first to get around, but we think that may be in phase one now.
Okay. I'd be happy to make that an adjustment. Mayor Critchlow?
That's on the south side of the depot.
Yeah, it's on the south side of the road even, yeah. Yeah, they tried to go on the depot side. They knew that was gonna be an issue, so they want to go to the other side.
All right. So we've got two changes so far on this map. Any other comments? Mayor Nguyen, please.
See you, he's here to show you.
Great.
I understand that Mid Valley Highway will have a trail in connection with it.
Uh-huh.
So on the highway map, this is saying it's phase 3 and this is phase 2. But on this map, it's showing phase 2, phase 3. So that we
Oh,
just need to
right.
be consistent.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Keep stop in phase 2.
Great. So a third change, thank you. A third change on the bicycle route types and phasing map is to move the middle section of Mid Valley to phase 3 and the southern section of Mid Valley to phase 2. All right. Any comments from folks online? Hearing none. Rosie, let's go ahead and if we're ready to move to transit, let's go ahead and bring that up on the screen, please.
No.
Sorry, I gave you multiple copies.
Now you want that. His being mine. Thank you. I get it.
Everybody else? Olivia, feel free to chime in here. Olivia Vaughn's with UTA, worked to coordinate with other folks at UTA. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this is what was shared at the December meeting, and there have likewise been no substantive changes to this since the December meeting. Any comments or questions on the proposed transit phasing here? All right. With that, any more discussion on any of the three, the highway phasing, the active transportation phasing, or the transit? Hearing none, I will go ahead and request a motion for action on releasing these three documents for public comment. Thank you. Mayor Critchlow, the motion, and Councilman Minor with the second. Thank you. And any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. That passes, and I'm looking at potentially just, I'll throw this out as a starting point. If you are aware of conflicts or would suggest that another time frame prior to the end of May would be better. But just as a starting point for discussion, I'll put out there April 22nd through May 22nd for a 30-day public comment period. And potentially looking at an open house on Tuesday, April 23rd or Wednesday, April 24th. Anybody aware of conflicts there? Okay. We will tentatively plan on that, and then if there are any adjustments needed, we'll make those as we move forward. Thank you. Let's see. So we already had the Mid-Valley Highway discussion. We'll move on to agenda item 5, state legislative notes. And I wish that Miranda Jones Cox with WFRC could be here, but since she's not available, I'm going to do my best to give you a few notes from the outcomes of the state legislative session. A couple of transportation, and these will all be transportation land use related comments. So just a small snippet, but there was approved 775 million one-time funding to go to the Transportation Investment Fund. That's the primarily for highway capacity across the state, and 330 million ongoing to that fund, to that same Transportation Investment Fund. And then 45 million was committed ongoing to the Transportation Investment Fund. So, and that covers both transit improvements, transit capital improvements, as well as first mile, last mile connections. So those were a couple of key transportation related appropriation approvals. And then I'm just going to touch on 3 legislative pieces. The first, Senate Bill 268, first home investment zones. It's a new tax increment tool to facilitate medium density city and town centers, owner occupied and affordable homes. And I should note that we will, if you haven't already been on the distribution list for our legislative updates, let me know, and and of course, these will be included in the follow-up email to this meeting as well. But these are summarized. There are one-page summaries of each of these bills in that legislative update that Miranda sent out. And then House Bill 430, Local Transportation Services Amendments, establishes new transit innovation pilot grants program, and counties of the 3rd through 6th class are eligible through the Transportation Investment Fund to apply for transit innovation pilot grants. I should note there will be more to come on this. Apparently this program is not it'll probably be another year before this program gets set up. For 1st and 2nd class counties, funding comes through a slice of the 4th quarter, the local option sales tax known as the 4th quarter of a cent, sales tax that is already UTA's portion of the fourth quarter. So that's where for first and second class counties, the funding for these grants comes from. But so that does not affect Tooele City, or I mean Tooele counties, nor any of the local governments in Tooele. Does not affect their fourth quarter local option sales tax, otherwise known as Prop 1. So more to come on that. Like I said, that'll be through for Tooele County and other counties, third to sixth class, quote unquote. That's where, or it'll be through the Transportation Investment Fund that those transit innovation pilot grants are planned to be made available. And then lastly, House Bill 488 allows Tooele County to impose an additional quarter-cent sales tax. It can be used for public safety and or transportation improvements. So that's that would, some of you might be aware, there are kind of 4 quarter-cent local option sales tax that have been authorized and adjusted over the years. This is the second quarter, and authorization for this is in state code, something like 59122216. But it's the second quarter. Tooele County has not yet imposed that second quarter. And now there's an increased flexibility in that second quarter that it can be used for public safety as well as for transportation improvements.
Is that bill?
House Bill 488. So that's just a few notes from the legislative session that recently concluded. Any other, any comments or questions, additional comments or questions on any of that? All right, thank you. And with that, any items of other business? I should note for the record, we've got both Kim Klossing and remind me your name, sir.
Fire Marshal Peck.
Fire Marshal Bob Peck. Both with the North Tooele Fire District. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Councilman Minor, please. Please. Thank you.
A while ago, there was an email sent out about safer streets and it talked about lighting and stuff like that. And it had to be put out and then something proved before the grant money could you kind of explain that a little bit more?
You bet. Thank you. Great question. So there's been underway an effort to develop a comprehensive safety action plan for across the WFRC area. And there was a needs analysis in the fall, and then strategies and project types were identified over the past month and discussed in a series of local government meetings. So if a need is identified in that plan, that makes local governments eligible to apply for funding through this program to address those needs. The plan also is a pretty good foundation to pursue different types of funding for safety improvements, county funding, state funding, local government funding. The implementation, and there's 3, it's a 5-year federal discretionary or competitive grant program. And this is the third year. Applications for implementation grants or making physical safety improvements are due May 16th of this year. There will be a cycle again, or it's anticipated there will be another cycle in 2025 and a last cycle perhaps in 2026. Just a note of caution. We learned when the NOFA was released, we learned that they expect to, or the federal government anticipates awarding up to 50 implementation grants across the country. So that means pretty tough competition. However, they do look favorably on, well, there's a number of criteria identified in the notice of funding opportunity, and they look favorably on, we are told, on low cost systemic improvements and multi-jurisdictional applications. There's also, in addition to implementation grants, there are planning and demonstration grants available, and there are actually 3 deadlines for those grants this year. April 22nd, May 16th, and sometime in August, I believe. This is all outlined in the notice of funding opportunity. So, and apparently the competition is a lot less for those planning and demonstration grants. So if there's additional detail you wanted to pursue in identifying or creating more detailed plan beyond what's done at the region-wide level, more planning, detailed planning is an option, as well as if there are some temporary improvements that you kind of want to pilot and see how effective they are. That's another option for these planning and demonstration grants. So feel free to follow up with additional questions on that effort. But any other items of other business? I've just gotten 2 quick items. The Region 2, Kevin Ogden with UDOT Region 2 recently sent an email out announcing an more or less annual opportunity to apply for Transportation Alternatives Program funding through UDOT Region 2. That's intended for bicycle and pedestrian improvements, and we'll include a link in the follow-up email for more information. And the deadline for Region 2 TAP funding is April 15th this year. And then just a quick note, another couple of federal discretionary grant programs that notices of funding opportunity are anticipated sometime this month. Those are the INFRA program, again, nationwide programs, INFRA and Rural Surface Transportation Program funds. You may recall the county was successful in getting some Rural Surface Transportation Program funds through this program for the IPAPA, or toward, along with several other funding sources, toward improvements on IPAPA Road. So that's all I have. Thank you. Next meeting is scheduled for June 10th. Same place, same time, Monday, June 10th. And we'll be in touch about coordination on the public comment period. So for the plan. So thank you. Meeting adjourned.